We're going to cross stateside now. Really interested in this. Jim Jatras is the former US diplomat and foreign policy advisor for the Republican leadership and has the greatest beard in broadcasting. Jim, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Jeremy. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Fantastic. Let's keep this as simple as possible, if only for the host on this side of the pond. I must be on my own in the United Kingdom right now. I would crave somebody to be elected in England who would say, I don't care about detractors legally, in the press or political circles. I am going to make your lives, I'm going to make you better off, I'm going to make you safer on the streets, I'm going to make sure that your public services are given to you rather than people coming into your country. Donald Trump, surely, Jim, can only be accused of doing exactly what he stood when he was elected to do, right? Defending the American people and business.
I certainly think that's its intention. I mean, look, there's been a lot of talk that the purpose here is to reindustrialize the United States, that our manufacturing base got hollowed out by decades of free trade policy where Americans bought a lot more stuff from around the world at very low prices because of the status of the dollar, but that had a very tremendously destructive impact on our manufacturing base. So the idea apparently is to bring that manufacturing back to the United States by maybe starting a trade war, what it amounts to. Whether that will work or not, I don't know. I mean, you can't just make factories just pop into existence overnight. That takes years, if not decades, of investment. But we'll see. I think that's his intention.
And interestingly, I was reading before I came on air, because obviously the world has recoiled in horror. The cosy status quo has been smashed to smithereens. There is talk of us in the United Kingdom suffering a £22 billion hit. The FTSE 100 is down. The US market's dropping rapidly by anybody's standards, worst in 5 years. He's on Air Force One from the toilet, opens the door and says it's medicine you're going to have to take. And yet I read an hour and a half ago that his approval rating in the last 7 days has gone up 4% amongst American people. So the reaction over there is what?
I think most people, or certainly the people who voted for him, are giving him the benefit of the doubt. But remember, Jeremy, this is still an extremely divided country. So the people who are against him are screaming bloody murder. And, again, in terms of consensus within the United States, nothing has changed.
What do you yourself, a former foreign policy advisor and a diplomat, what do you think of the approach? What do you think of the whole gambit that he's gone with? Do you think it benefits the United States? Is it typical Trump, the bully boy businessman? Because I just think he's basically done what he's done, so they all come crawling and get, he'll half the deal, he'll be okay. That's what you do. When we were selling, we were told that you offered gold, silver and bronze. They weren't going to buy gold. They wanted to buy bronze. I'm making it really simple. And they buy in the middle at silver, and everybody left the table happy. That's what you did.
Well, look, I've never drunk the free trade Kool-Aid. I've never been for this idea that somehow, comparative advantage, we're all interdependent, blah, 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 and borders don't matter anymore. You can say the same thing is true about migration and immigration as well. These things tend to go hand in hand. So I appreciate what he's trying to do. Whether he can pull it off, I don't know. Because I don't know if we've gotten to the point now where so much of American domestic economy is dependent on the global economy. For example, what is an American-made product anymore? An American-made car, when so many of the components are made abroad and would be subject to tariffs. So, this may not work. On the other hand, I'm going to give him credit for trying.
In terms of the world, would you agree with me that this is strong-arm tactics, in the belief that people will come crawling to him and he will get a deal that puts America in a more favourable position than it is at this precise moment in time? That's how I see it here, but that doesn't allay people's fears here. But would you agree with that as an analogy?
I would say that that's the intention, and it may be working on some fronts. You do see some headlines that, Taiwan and Vietnam are throwing in the towel. They're coming crawling, and they're going to negotiate down their tariffs and so forth. I think that's what he intends to do. I don't know how many countries that will work with. I think that will partly depend on what the economic relationship of that country is with the United States. For example, we see Mr. Starmer saying his response is what? Going to be lower the penalty on non-compliant vehicles from 15,000 pounds to 12,000 pounds. How that's going to help anything in the UK?
Yeah, but you're talking. I'm glad you called him Mister, because he doesn't deserve the knighthood. I've spent an hour and 40 minutes today saying one thing, Jim, and you're aware of the British government. They brought in a raft of measures that have basically screwed what I call small and medium-sized businesses. They've increased national insurance contribution. They made it far more difficult to employ people. Their profits, their food, that prices of everything, energy prices have gone through the roof while they're trying to, you know, create wind fuel because they don't want to drill, as Trump does, despite the fact we've got all of that. And thus, small businesses, and they've brought this workers' rights bill in that means if you get a headache, you can have 6 months off pay because you might be anxious. All of that does nothing to create businesses. And I'm saying, and I've been saying for an hour and 40 minutes, that's what I'd be concentrating on if I was Keir Starmer, making us, in our little bubble, competitive and encouraged and prosperous, and then going to Trump and saying, listen, maybe you want to buy some of this, maybe we need to get our heads together. But the whole world seems to be sitting going, oh my God, Donald Trump's going to ruin us. I just expect the world to have bigger balls. Maybe I'm missing the point, pal.
Well, and indeed, if you know, you're more better informed on this than I am. If you have those energy resources at your disposal, they can be exploited in a way that benefits the United Kingdom, then go for it. But I think we're entering an era perhaps where everything is going to be on a bilateral basis, UK to the United States, you know, UK to Germany, Germany to the United States, and so on and so forth, rather than this kind of notion that, oh, well, everything's equal, we all play by the same rules, and we're all going to assume the same advantages and disadvantages. Maybe that world is coming to an end.
And just to finish, I don't know how many days it's been, nearly 100, is it? What's your view of Trump 2.0?
You know, at this point, I think the jury's out on that as well. I mean, on this front, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I have no idea what he's going to do in the very near future about whether going to attack Iran or not, which could throw the whole thing into a cocked hat if that goes south on the global economy and the American economy. And again, I don't think we're any closer to a solution to the Ukraine situation than we were when he took office. And unfortunately, he doesn't seem to have unloaded it early on the way he should have, and instead is digging himself deeper in. So I think it's a real mixed bag.
You're a star, mate. We kept you holding on for a while, but we always love having you on. Fantastic, and thank you as ever, Jim. Jatras, former US diplomat, foreign policy advisor to the Republican Senate.